Alright guys, Hayzink here, welcome back to the channel for another Street Fighter Duel video. And in this video I'm going to be doing a conversation piece. People have been wondering what my take is on the anniversary. I'm going to be delving into that, kinda, right? But I've seen a lot of weird takes, right? And I feel like this is probably a really good time to kind of address all of them in the one go. Because I've seen people actually saying, this is fantastic. I've seen people saying this is terrible. I've seen a whole range of different things, right? And believe it or not, guys, there is actually some people that have said, this is fantastic, right? So, obviously, you're going to want to know what my opinion is. And I'll be completely honest, right now, I don't have one. There is a reason for that. Let me just explain. Because for once, I am going to wait, right? Because they've done something rather bizarre, right? Obviously, if we look, the anniversary doesn't actually begin until the 26th, right? Because when they bring out the cake, the celebration night, and when they bring out the VIP reset is pretty much when they're starting the anniversary, right? However, they're kind of starting it before that, because the day before they do that, on the 25th, they're going to start doing like double rewards. So for the likes of your mission, Shadow City and stuff, you're going to get like 2 times. So let's just say they're starting the event on the 25th, right? Now, just for curiosity's sake, is that Tuesday? I believe that's Tuesday. Yeah, so it's Tuesday, right? Now, that's the only reason I don't want to pass judgment yet and say it's terrible, right? Right now, taking that away, it's terrible, right? But bearing in mind that we do have the potential for surprises. Now, do I expect surprises? Possibly. I'll explain why in a moment, right? But if there is going to be surprises, I don't expect it to be anything big, right? So the reason I'm saying that is the celebration is starting next Tuesday, next Wednesday, right? And I guess their headlining thing is Fashion Sakura, or not Fashion Sakura, Firecracker Sakura being half price. But she's already half price. So unless they drop something new, that means they're going to launch a 2-week anniversary celebration where one of the things is going to end halfway through that, because Sakura is only half price for 2 weeks. And it means that after 1 week of that anniversary celebration, she's not going to be half price anymore. So for the really unlikely scenario that new players would be jumping in, it would mean that the 2nd week of that anniversary, there's going to be nothing happening. Now, to me, that seems a bit unlikely. Now, we know, because this game hardcore works on a countdown system, we know there's not going to be a special summon unit, right? So we can put that one away right away. We're not, next week, we're not just suddenly going to have a special summon unit that just launches. But what we could have, and there was like a micro patch added to the game this morning, around about 13 megs. I could go and look in the game files, but realistically, if it's the character that I think they'll finally do, he was already in there anyway. But I think they'll probably finally drop Yakuza Ken, right? I don't think he'll be special. I don't think he'll have any special deals. I don't think he will have any discounts or anything like that. I think they'll just raw drop him into the game and he'll be a divination unit. Because with a divination unit, they don't need to do countdowns, they don't need to do anything special. He can just drop straight into the game without any fanfare, right? So I do actually think they will drop another unit next week, right? But that's only just because it really would be a bad look, essentially, to have the 2nd week of your anniversary with literally absolutely nothing happening with regards to I'm a new player, what's new, what can I get, what's the big attraction about this anniversary. Now, just because it's a bad look and it would be a really bad decision to do that, doesn't actually mean they've got the brain to think that far ahead, because Topjoy, as we all know, repeatedly make bad decisions, okay? So let's just run on the assumption that there will or there won't be a new unit next week, right? Because it really doesn't affect the outcome of what I think about this anniversary, to be completely honest. All we can do is compare this anniversary to the last anniversary directly, right? directly, and it is factually worse. No one can deny that. Anyone who tries to deny that is really looking at a different picture, because the last anniversary, it launched with Visconde Vega, right? So day one of the anniversary, we had Visconde Vega, right? So what did that mean? That meant on the week leading up to the anniversary starting, you had a normal countdown, which gave you 15 special summon tickets. It gave you a Starlight. What you also had, however, was 28 days prior to that, you were getting 50 tokens and then 50 tickets. So 1 week was arcade, 1 week was faction, 1 week was divination, 1 week was special summon, and in total you ended up with 50 of each, right? So straight off the bat, those are two things that we do not have, right? So in total, 65 special summon tokens and 50 of everything else, plus a Starlight. You just do not have starting off this anniversary, right? When the other anniversary started, the cake event was alive immediately and you could do the training memory. Now they did let us do the training memory straight away. So when we started this anniversary, we got 1 Starlight. But on the 1 year anniversary, we also got 1 Starlight. So direct comparison when year 1 started versus when year 2 started. Year 1, you're kicking off, you've gained 2 Starlight and all of those tokens. Now you're only gaining 1 Starlight, which is a net loss of 1 Starlight plus a whole bunch of tickets. Sorry, my door went there, that's how I'm out of breath. I just ran down the stairs and then back upstairs again. So, as you can see, I just got a tablet delivered. Hang on, I need to put myself on to do not disturb. Right, no more pop-ups. Right, so all we really have now to look forward to is the cake event, right? The cake event. Now the cake event should have like an explore mode, I believe, usually. And that cake event will also have like mini bosses, I guess you call them. People might not remember this, but the way it worked with like those weird stages where you done them, you would do a stage, and I think every 2 days or something, at the end of the stage there was like a boss, but then that boss would go into, we'll call it the home portal, so the main screen of the map, and you could fight them as a boss for a couple of days, right? Now they weren't very good bosses, they were extremely difficult because you didn't have things like your workbench. They were only single team fights from what I remember, but a lot of people found them really difficult because essentially there was one way to get a good score and that was it, right? And if you couldn't do it, then you were SOL, right? Shit out a lot, basically. So people weren't a fan of that. But on the 6 month and on the 1 year anniversary, you had a regular ass event running alongside of it. So you still had your 2 copies of the new unit, you still had about 100 or 50 or whatever special summon tickets. You had a lot of other resources, and essentially the cake event was an extra. On this, it's all we're going to get, right? Now, the reason why I'm saying that kind of no matter what happens now, even if they do drop another unit, it's bad, is because go to the 1.5 year anniversary. So you know guys, the countdown to nothing, we all know about the countdown to nothing. You would probably say to yourself that this is a better event than that, wouldn't you? Technically, it's not, because the countdown to nothing, you got 50 of everything, right? Then you got Luke's countdown, so you got 15 special summon tickets, and you got yourself a Starlight. Then the event kicks off, 2 copies of the new special summon unit, and you get all of your normal rewards, okay? Overall, even though there was no fanfare, even though there was no anything to make it seem like it was even an anniversary, the net gain on rewards is going to be better than what we get right now, because if they take away our normal event, our normal special summon event, where even if you don't want the character, you're getting that whole bunch of special summon tickets, which are, apart from Starlight, the most valuable resource in the game. You're not getting them, they're being taken away. You're losing things like your scrolls, which you get for doing the mad 3-stage thing, I forget what it's called, spiderweb hunt and all that kind of stuff. It actually ultimately means that even with the most positive outlook possible, this is most likely, inevitably going to be the worst anniversary in the game's history. And that's bad for a number of reasons. Only one of those reasons I feel like I need to focus on. I don't really think that is the trajectory a game should be taking. Anniversaries should build upon each other, and they did, okay? The 1 year anniversary was better than the 6 month anniversary, because the 6 month anniversary did not have that 28 day countdown, right? So that immediately made the 6 month anniversary not as good as the 1 year anniversary. So they either had to be the same as the 1 year anniversary and have that countdown, and then we'd go into it and be even kind of thing, or they would do better. And as it stands just now, they've just done worse. And I thought maybe I had a tiny shred of hope that because they never did the countdown, they would potentially just send some gifts in the inbox. They've done that before. It's the anniversary. Each day you go in unannounced and they would just have gifts in your inbox. They haven't even done that. They haven't done that. I mean, what did they do? They done a pre-countdown for Sakura, and they gave out 7 divination tokens, which I don't know about you guys. I wouldn't say I'd rather not have them, because like, whatever at this point, just give me something, I'll take it. But it wasn't good. They don't deserve any praise for it. It was pretty shit, right? Just to be completely blunt, there's no other way to really sum that up. To me, it's pretty clear what's happening. I hate to say I told you so, right? But I did. Like, if you go back and you watch my video, a lot of people get really pissed off about that video. The one that I had the thumbnail where I had the Grim Reaper going between the different doors, right? The whole point in that was supposed to symbolise death is coming. You don't need to answer the door, right? But that's the thing. It hadn't opened the door yet. It was approaching the door, meaning you've still got time. You've still got time to do something about it. And I said then that unless they started putting out a lot of new units, newly designed units, they were going to quickly run out of what they had. And I didn't at that point think they had enough to make it to the 2 year anniversary. And you can go back and watch that video, I do say this. I said the only way they can make it to the 2 year anniversary is if they do reruns, which they generally don't do. Because at that point they had never done a rerun. Then magically after that we get the Devil May Cry rerun, and then we also got Turtles coming back. And I said in the Turtles video, that was just unheard of. That does not happen. You don't get reruns that fast. But I said they would either need to do reruns and draw out the content, which means taking more gaps, more delays between units dropping less units in general, just to kind of squeak their way to the 2 year anniversary. Or they could just push out units, pushing out newly designed units. We all know the game is in a good state, the game's healthy and all the rest of it, and the game does well and the game prospers. That's not what they've done. They've done the negative option that I said, which is they've slowed things down to a snail's pace. They've not produced new content. And I'm being generous here calling new units content, right? But they've not. They've literally drained the well of what they had. They've put out every unit that was unreleased, apart from Summer Yun for whatever reason. And they have put out some new units, mainly females. Strangely, apart from Cody, every male unit has been a legendary unit, which is bizarre to me. Because I mean, you've had what? Santa Blanca, you've had Gail, you've had DJ. Yes, and before anyone asks me, I've not even done the DJ trial yet. I have done my dailies and all that, right? So I am still playing the game actively. I don't know why I've not done the DJ trial. It just doesn't interest me in the slightest. But they just seem unwilling to read the room, so to speak. And now I said in the Discord yesterday, I was kind of chatting. Anyone who's still in the Discord knows I've been as active as I've always been, which is not very active, chatting. But I said then that I think their problem is they don't understand how the mind of a gacha player works, and this video will not get to them. They will not see this, but just on the off chance someone does happen to see this and passes it to them, I'm going to explain to them how gacha players' brains work, right? Gacha players, you've got a couple of different tiers of gacha players. You've got gacha players who will spend money on a game as long as they know that game's got a few months, at least a few months to go, right? Then you've got gacha players who will spend money if they think that game's got at least a year. Okay, I'm happy to spend because I think the game's at least got a year left in it. And then you've also got those gacha players who probably never spend, but they kind of only want to spend on a game they think's going to last forever. It's just not going to happen, right? Right now, every player almost is in the state of this game could close next month. So spending is at an all-time low because player confidence in the game is at an all-time low. And pushing out a new legend now, like DJ, and expecting to make money off of him blows my mind, right? It absolutely blows my mind because you're literally just putting a unit out that is going to fail, right? And he's going to fail because people are not confident enough to spend money on your product. What you should have done, and this is quite simple, is you should have done things like revamping the stores, going into the stores, going into places like these shops, revamping them, giving players other options of things to do with their currencies and stuff like that. You should have gone in and used this as an opportunity to start to add soul power to older free-to-play units. Okay, so when we say free-to-play units, we just mean units that are more easily accessible, right? Because quite clearly, what you're shown is with Sakura is you're probably going to try to keep the game going a little bit longer, probably not release a lot of units, and instead try to monetize soul power. You're going to try and make soul power out to be this big thing, when previously, when it launched, you were quite happy to just give it to a bunch of units. You were happy to give it to 1 or 2 divination units a month and give it to 1 of each of the faction units per month, but you pulled back on that, right? Reintroducing that, making it so that, okay, this is what we're going to do, guys. We're going to try to make you buy divination tokens, essentially, and we're going to highlight specific units, 1 a month, and we're going to give these divination units soul power, okay? You could do that, but you had to do it as a soft start, because what you had to do was introduce it to characters like Dhalsim, things like that, get people engaging with that again, right? Making people think, oh, do you know what? They're trying to bring a bit more value to what we have in our box already. This is a good sign. This is them. They're caring about the players again. And then, in a month or two's time, when you start trying to push out the fact that, yeah, we're going to give it to a lot more premium characters as well, people at that point might be more inclined to spend money on something like divination tokens because they've had this preceding 2 months that came before where you've done things like you've invested in the shops, you've given people more options, you've given people the ability to take their free-to-play units and make them stronger. At that point, people might start going, you know what? They're showing a bit of interest in the game again. Maybe I'll be a bit more confident to spend money. Look, God forbid you were to add content. I mean, adding content would be one major step towards increasing player confidence. But right now, player confidence is at an all-time low. You are essentially doing the worst thing possible, right? Not only are you dropping units who are expensive, in my opinion, not great, right? They're not. Let's be honest, they're not, right? You're doing it at a time where people are just not willing to spend money. They're absolutely not willing to spend money. And the amount of players you've got is decreasing at such a rapid rate. And it's all because of you, Topjoy. It's all your own fault. And the reason it's happening is because I've said this before. I've highlighted numerous issues in this game since it started, essentially, right? I said what we're facing right now, I actually said within the first 6 months, anyone who's a Hayzink historian can go back and watch my videos and you'll know I said this is where we were going to end up because the blueprint for this game was visible, right? It was all there. You could see every element of the game. And I seen very, very early on that unless they were to start introducing new systems, new modes, new gameplay mechanics and stuff, everyone was going to hit this point. And from pretty much 6 months onwards, people have said, oh, Hayzink's just a moaner, Hayzink just likes to complain, Hayzink just likes to talk about things that are not an issue. No, I didn't. I spoke about things that I knew were going to become an issue, okay? And what's gradually started to happen is players have started to realise at different points that these issues are all real. And honestly, I'm not a smug person, but I told you so, right? And I can take that, and that's mine because I did tell you so. I said this was all going to happen because they did not build on anything. They did not try to make this not happen. They've just sat back. And the problem is now people are complaining, people are in the Discord, people are saying things now that I said 6 months into the game. The difference is when I was trying to get people to pay attention, when I was trying to get people to make them do something, we had a large pool of players. We had a large player base. We had a much louder voice. They would probably still have ignored it, to be fair, right? But at that point in time, we had a much stronger chance of something being done than now, where we have a dwindling player base, a developer who doesn't care, there's no staff engagement whatsoever, there's literally no staff that monitor that Discord. They don't do anything, they don't engage, they don't give out codes, they don't do anything, right? We'll probably get a code for this, I would hope, right? But generally speaking, I told you ages ago, they've ignored birthdays, used to do them all the time, don't do them anymore. They've just completely withdrawn from the game, right? So they're not going to change anything now. They're not. We had our chance, which again, they might have ignored. We had our chance, everyone ignored it. Everyone wanted to say that I was just a loony, I just wanted to complain, I was entitled and all the rest of it. And look where we are. We're exactly where I predicted we were going to be. And it's all because they didn't do anything and they were allowed to not do anything. We had players absolutely glazing them, telling them they've been doing fantastic jobs. I don't know why. I mean, did you think they were just going to give you units for free in your gift box or something? I don't get it. Like, honestly, when someone like can actually take an element of the game, like I did plenty of times, record that happening, record bad things, record things that weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and then act like I'm making big deals out of nothing. I don't get it. Like, did you honestly think you were going to get like the Top Joy Star Award or some bullshit like that? No, you weren't, right? It doesn't happen. As they would say in freaking YouTube comments, they weren't going to shag you, right? Essentially, that's what I'm getting at here. But now what we're facing is rapid player decline because we've run out of content. We've run out of units. They now need to drip feed units to us. We're now getting 3 weeks where we've got nothing. We're now getting 4 weeks where we've got nothing. Essentially, that's what we're getting now. Like this anniversary campaign, we had, what, a 2-week break? Maybe 3? Can't remember. Nothing. We were all like, oh well, at least the anniversary's starting. The anniversary started and they dropped nothing. They dropped a new unit and nothing. And in a week's time, they're going to drop a micro event because that's what the anniversary events have been up to this point. Out of every issue I've ever pointed out, we've never lost that many players. What I've noticed is those tumbleweed weeks, those weeks where we have no content for a week or two, that is where we lose the players, okay? Top Joy actually, for some god-forsaken reason, I don't understand it, constantly got a pass from the player base. They could literally shite or take a piss or whatever directly into the mouth of the player base, and the players would just swallow it. They were fine, no bother. They would stay, they wouldn't quit. But those same players are the ones who quit when you put no content out. When you had 2 weeks of nothing, 3 weeks of nothing, they said, this game's boring, there's nothing to do, I'm going to quit. And each and every time they've done that, we've lost more and more and more and more players. It's completely on Top Joy. All of it's been on Top Joy, to be fair, right? But not being able to do the basic simple thing, like having engaging content. Because players were staying, they were sticking around, they were continuing to play, even though we were getting the same bullshit regurgitated content with a slightly different coat of paint. Players were still playing, players were sticking around. But see, when you give them absolutely nothing, like there is nothing to do in game right now. Boodle Battle is not content, right? Boodle Battle, if you think me going here and choosing which one of these two I think is going to win a fight, if you think that's content, I've got a bag of magic beans to sell to you because it's not content, right? There is literally nothing to do until this anniversary starts. How do you think you're going to keep players playing a game when you give them no game to play? And that is the biggest issue this game has had since day one, and it's only amplified now, and only people now are noticing this. Again, I don't know how. I really don't. It makes no sense to me. But they don't seem to care. And I've not looked yet. I spoke to him earlier and Pika said that he was making a video and it was probably going to be something along the lines of Street Fighter Duel's not dying, it's already dead. I mean, I think he told him, if that's not the video you made, Pika, sorry for outing you, right? But he said something like that. And to be honest, depending on your point of view, that's been true for months. That has been absolutely true for months. And again, I told you so. I take no joy and no pleasure out of this. I've not tried to build a new following. I've not tried to build a new gacha game. I've not tried to leverage anything to try and move on to something else because I didn't want Street Fighter Duel, and I still don't want Street Fighter Duel to prematurely end, right? But Topjoy, they don't care. They haven't cared. I don't think they've ever cared, but they've certainly not cared for the longest time. And as much as people used to dump on him and all the rest of it, at least when Dino was around, we had a contact. We had someone who was... Things never necessarily happened, but at least there was a back and forward, and occasionally things would happen out of that. Now we've got nothing. Nothing. People go to this Discord, they put their posts into game feedback or game improvements or whatever the hell that section is. Nobody reads it. Like, you're literally wasting your time. You are quite literally wasting your time because nothing's happening from it. They don't care. And I take no pleasure in saying that because, again, even now, I don't want this game to finish because I'm still playing it. Other than My Hero Academia, Ultra Impact, which is the only other one I play, not the Crunchyroll one. This is the only game I play. I play two games. I play this and I play My Hero Academia Ultra Impact. Admittedly, I do like My Hero Academia Ultra Impact more now than I like Street Fighter Duel. But that's only because there's nothing to do in Street Fighter Duel. Like, how can you say that you enjoy and like something when there's nothing to do? I mean, I don't even do the guild battle anymore. I do the one that you can do the raid for, but when you fight the bosses, I don't do it. Half the time I don't even do boss battle because it's just the same boring shite that it's always been. I've given some what I class as really good suggestions that I think they could do to reinvigorate this game, and people say that they won't do anything unless it's copy-paste. Thing is, the suggestions I've made are copy-paste. I think they could do what the likes of Dokkan Battle does, and they could reinvigorate older characters, but they could do it through gameplay, where they take a character each month and they introduce like character trials for them, and you can literally just use something like the Path of Fire type system, modify it slightly obviously so that it's character specific, and if you complete all of the missions, which hopefully they would make some of them difficult, at the end of that you would maybe get something like an evolution token, and then that would make the character be improved. It would maybe give them like status effects and stuff, and just mix up the gameplay a bit and make the stuff that's in your box a bit more viable, which I think would re-engage players because it would just make people think that, you know what, yeah, okay, maybe they are here for the long haul. But as it stands right now, the game is barely making $2,000 a month, $200,000 a month, that's dollars, across all versions. It's not popular in SEA outside of China, outside of Japan, sorry. If you go and look at the Southeast Asia version, that's not a Japanese server, there's teams that are like topping leaderboards with A ranks, and it's units who you look at and you're like, no. I'm talking about like Leonardo, A rank Leonardo, and they're like winning bossing and stuff. And it's not because they're fantastic players, it's because there's no competition. And that's just telling you that people are not engaging with it and people are not spending money. And honestly, if they don't understand that the reason why SEA is not making money is because players are savvy, players are smart, those players are looking at how they've treated Global, they're looking and they're thinking that Global is on a timer for a shutdown. And because of that, they know that their cards are marked. They know that if Global closes, they're not far behind. So they don't want to spend money. And I just think that all of the problems that Topjoy have are really coming to the forefront in this anniversary. And even if they tried to turn it around, this is, again, I'm not trying to be negative here, I'm honestly not, but even if they try to turn it around, it's not going to work. Because one thing that I've said, and I'll say it again, is gacha players generally don't return. They generally don't return. Some will, but most of them, especially whales, they won't return. They're gone, you've lost them. And that was the issue. It all started way back. Someone said yesterday I was probably the catalyst for it because I exposed the scripted pools and stuff like that behind Monster Hunter Ken. But I would argue that their response to that was the issue. Instead of making the game better, implementing better systems, and they done the exact opposite. They made things worse. And who does that? Whose response to something terrible is to do something even worse and deny the terrible thing was happening in the first place? That's what Topjoy did, and that is Topjoy in a nutshell. So I will continue to play Street Fighter Duel until it closes. Do I encourage new players to pick the game up? Sure. Do I encourage new players to spend money? No. Honestly, I'm just being blunt here, I don't, because unless they can actually do something to show you that this game's not just going to shut down in 2 months' time, 3 months' time, whatever, then I wouldn't feel comfortable putting money into the game. And I don't. I haven't done for quite some time. So you wanted my thoughts on the anniversary, and I've more or less just given you my thoughts on everything. And I don't think the anniversary can even remotely recover, because I just don't think they've got enough on the table to be able to give us enough of an anniversary that you could even call it a celebration. I do still think there's a chance of a unit next week. I don't ultimately think it's going to do much, which technically would probably mean that Sakura's bait, but we don't know. We don't know. They are absolutely a company who could just do week 2 of the anniversary with nothing. They could, because that's them in a nutshell. Nothing. They do nothing. They contribute nothing. They give the player base nothing. They are nothing. Fuck you, Topjoy. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that. Peace out. See you later, guys. Goodbye.